Hi guys, I hope all is well. It's your girl Farida, and as always, fluency is legacy. So I just want to thank you so much for all of your feedback and your positive energy and vibes around what I'm trying to do, which is share the love of literacy and help scholars break the code, right? That's the goal. And so in that, you can find me on Facebook under Farida Goodwin, or I have my own YouTube channel now. Oh, and so you can go to YouTube and find me there, Farida Goodwin as well. And if you have any pressing literacy questions, or if I can help you with resources, I have my own Gmail account dedicated to literacy. And so that's called fluencyislegacy@gmail.com. And so today we're going to get into phonemic and phonological awareness. And I want to start with this idea. I want you to picture it. When we hear the word foundation, we often associate it with a house, relationships. We say that if they're not built on the right foundation, then they will crumble. And I believe that. I also believe that with literacy, that you have to have a strong foundation, or you stumble and you have a very difficult time in cracking the code and becoming a fluent reader. But don't fret, my pet, because we are going to work together as a unit to break this code and to get kids lit. So in that, today we're talking all about phonemic awareness and phonological awareness being the foundation. And I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to incorporate these strategies in your daily life. So let's get into it. So I'm going to share my screen. And I like to call this a foundation menu because it's going to set the stage for what needs to be done prior to us becoming readers, critical thinkers, and writers. And so phonological awareness and phonemic awareness are the foundation for fluent reading. I love this little image of this scholar because is he reading? No. However, he's being exposed to books and he's being exposed to how they are structured. And why did the author choose to put the picture of the cow here and the duck there? And those are the conversations that we need to have with our scholars, because big state exam or any outcome exam lets us know that scholars are struggling in various areas, but the most common are vocabulary, in addition to text structure, craft and structure, how the text is organized, why the author is making these moves, and understanding a deep connection to vocabulary and how it works, both in isolation and in context. And so we're going to help you help them. Let's get started. This is another image that I love. And when I was talking to you guys earlier about the foundation, and so everybody's so quick to say, I want my kid to read, I want my kid to read. But before they can read, they need to have these other tools in their belt. Onset and rhyme, which simply means looking at the first sound of the word, like in flower, flower. You also have understanding how print and concept works, that we read from left to right. Understanding how to isolate sounds, just not the beginning, but the middle and the end. Understanding the vowels, right? That the short vowel says its sound while the long vowel says its name. Understanding how words and sentences and phrases work, that's called syntax. And having a knowledge of that is key to becoming a fluent reader. So let's dive into it, guys. So I'm going to move my little cursor right here to the top. And let's read. So phonological awareness is the ability to hear sounds in spoken language. That's the listening skill. And a child who has a strong foundation in phonological awareness can manipulate and identify sounds. For example, dip, sip, lip, glip, mat, sat, cat, hat. They can hear and identify and play with sounds and words like sun, sit, song. I might say, what do all these words start with? What's their onset? Well, it's S. In the word bite, dot, sit. Well, what do these words end with? What's their ending sound? And I'm just going to circle or hover right here with the word bite, Because oftentimes when you're teaching scholars about the vowel E consonant rule, which is if the vowel is saying its long name and there's an E at the end, then that E is silent and the vowel takes over. When kids are trying to decode words like that, they will often tap them out like this if they don't have a strong foundation. B, I, T, E. That makes no sense. So we tell them over and over through repetition and repeated lessons and definitions and why this doesn't work versus this is that when that silent E is there, you don't tap it out. It's quiet. So try it this way. B-I, bite. And I had to tell some scholars that today, and they were like, oh, okay, Miss G, you right, you right. And I'm like, yeah, buddy, because these are the rules. When you follow the rules, you won't get tricked. Let's keep going. And so they will hear the syllables and words. Clap for each sound in the name, like restaurant, corrida, right? Or snap, umbrella, right? And so whatever form of, what's what I'm looking for, differentiation that you use, it doesn't matter, just as long as they get the gist of it. Let's keep going. And so it's the big why. Like I told you, it's the ability to hear nursery rhymes and songs and, not just teachers, but we can do this too at home as parents and playing games with sounds and grouping the objects by their beginning sounds and which sounds don't fit and why. And talking to your children about words and sounds in everyday situations and choosing books and read alouds. I'm a proponent for read alouds. I love them. That focus on sound. That's the key to strengthening that layer of the phonological awareness. Let's keep going. Next layer, phonemic awareness. So it's a more advanced skill of phonological awareness. This is what I'm working with my son on in second grade, Colin. And this is when you're manipulating individual sounds, right? So for example, in the word bug, I know it has three sounds, b, g. But if I replace the b with a I'm gonna get rug. And if I replace the with a I'm gonna get mug. And so the ability to change up those sounds, right? Automaticity, that's key. It's showing that you're advanced, you're able to do that thinking in your head, which means that ultimately you'll be able to do that thinking in your writing. Late. If I replace the with a d, date, replace d with nate, right? And so phonemic awareness is so important. It's the step towards understanding the alphabetic principle, right? And once they're able to, have their phonemic awareness and their phonological awareness and marry the two, now you're going to have a strong phonics foundation. Let's keep going. And so, like I said, the big why, using the charts and the chants and understanding that this doesn't have to be in isolation. Like I'm saying, you can do this in your everyday situation. So I'll give you an example. When I was in the classroom, I knew that my kids were super excited about lunch. And so I would say, if your name starts with the letter or with the sound, please line up. And then they would line up. And I would say, if your name starts with the sound B, but now I'm going to replace it with T, please line up. And so all the kids that had the names like the Briannas and the Brooks, and they would get up, and I'm like, I'm going to substitute it for T, and they would sit down. And so we would have a little fun before lunch just to get it started. They'd be like, Miss Jane called me already. And I'm like, all right, you got to listen. And so it's really not about drill, but it's really about having fun, right? And enjoying and understanding that literacy is not dull, but that it is life. Literacy is life. So let's keep going, guys. And so I want to give you some resources. I want to give you some help. So we're now at the breakdown menu. And what do I mean by that? Well, in order to become a fluent reader and have a solid foundation in phonemic and phonological awareness, you need a menu of what you should be doing daily. And so rhyming needs to be in it, the onset and fluency need to be in it, the blending words need to be in it, and the isolating, blending middle and final sounds need to be in it. I love this little anchor chart because it says words that rhyme begin with different sounds but end with the same sound. Well, that's true sometimes, but also sometimes the ending sound is what makes them rhyme, right? So for example, a scholar the other day said, Ms. Goodwin, what about they and say? They, say. Well, they both have that same ending sound. EY can say E like in key, or it can say A like in they. And so really getting them to understand that the English language is so cool, sometimes a little tricky, in that rhyming is not just about it having the same at sound at the end, but it's or letters, but it's really about the sound. You are listening and discriminating and figuring out all of those different sounds and do they have a connection. So rhyming, I'm going to give you some examples. Let's play. I'm ready. So I will say the word pairs. You repeat the word pairs and verbally tell me if they rhyme. Remember, we are focusing solely on sound. Mow, low. Run, fun. Tip, lip. Shoe, blue. Feet, foot. Oh, wow. It looks like you don't think that feet and foot rhyme. Okay, not a problem. I'm not going to fight you. Can you tell me why? And so the goal is to get kids to, like I said, it's all about that discourse. Verbalize why they disagree respectfully. Let's keep going. The onset fluency. You remember I told you onset is the beginning sound of a word? Like dump, it would be duh. Well, I will say the word and you repeat the word and isolate the onset, which is the beginning sound. Took, t, candle, k, dump, d, vegetable, v. And I love onset and rhyme because kids really, really enjoy it and we have so much fun with it. Let's jump down to the next item on the menu, blending words. I will say two words and pause in between them. You will repeat the two words and pause, then blend or compound them. So I'm going to come back because I want you to see what I'm doing with my hands. So bathtub, blend. Bathtub, sunburn, sunburn, Monday, Monday, sailboat, sailboat, sandbox, sandbox. And so kids really love it. And soon we go super duper fast. Thursday, Thursday, backpack, backpack. And so we just have so much fun with it. And the more repetition and the more time that you do it, they just get faster. It's just automatic, automaticity. Let's keep going. And isolating the beginning, middle, and final sounds. So let's see if you can recognize which sounds I'm isolating. Ben, n, froze, z, globe, b. I'll give you a second. If you said the ending sound, ding, 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 you were right. It's the ending sound. And so I would then ask a scholar a question, how did you know? What in your brain told you it was the ending sound? And I will wait for them to share. And so these are just some activities that you can do to strengthen the phonemic and the phonological awareness. Let's keep going. Oh no, I can't believe it. I'm gonna go into my thumbnail again. So guys, we are actually at the end. I can stand when that happens, but I understand that all good things must come to an end. And so I love resources. Why? I want you to use the resources in an effective and efficient and economical way. And we do that through free. And so any way that I can help you get these resources and incorporate them into your literacy menu, that's my job. I want to do it. And so Teacher Pay Teacher is a website. All educators know about it. And they have a lot of free things around phonemic and phonological awareness. So I would check them out. Decodable books. I'm your girl. And so I was blessed to get a slew, actually 452 decodable books that were sent to me. And so, like I said, my email is fluencyislegacy@gmail. And if you need decodable books, which are books that pretty much are, how do you say it, controlled in a way, and it has simple sentences. And these are books that kids really need in K-2. Reach out to me, sometimes third grade. Reach out to me and they're yours. Nursery rhymes, definitely. And where can you find that? On Google, which is our best friend. YouTube, that's where you can find me and other great resources. Integrity, which this is a company that's geared towards phonemic and phonological awareness. I call it phonemic awareness dopeness because they are doing the thing around foundational skills. Foundations, still my favorite. I use it every day. And they have free things on their website as well. Also, you can Google it. And here are some other decodable books that are awesome as well. And so, like I said, it's all about repetition and patience and consistency and strategy. Let's keep going. And so, guys, we're going to wrap up here. I'm going to come back to you. But once again, this is my info where you can find me. Fluencyislegacy@gmail.com. You can find me on YouTube, Frida Goodwin, as well as Facebook. And so if you don't know, I love quotes. I write quotes. And so I wrote this quote. I felt that it was fitting for foundation. And so I'm going to read it to you. Foundation. Critical thinking is developed through layers that must be built on a solid foundation. However, if there are cracks within that foundation, through strong instruction and consistency, we can still create fluent readers. So as I always like to say, we don't have to get overwhelmed and think that it's too late. It is never too late to do great things. And so we can break the code. One, strategy. One, consistent. And more importantly, one optimistic step at a time. So I'm going to stop sharing. So thank you guys so much for rocking with me and learning about the layers to becoming a fluent reader. And I can't wait to see you again. And remember, as always, fluency is legacy. Bye.